Welcome to Business Class. I'm Steve Ekstrom from Learn Tourism, a nonprofit academy dedicated to advancing the tourism industry through innovative training and sustainable practices. Our mission? To empower travel professionals and communities with the knowledge they need to create meaningful, authentic, and sustainable tourism experiences. Ready to join us on this journey? Visit learntourism.org and start making a difference today. So the podcast, it's a really casual conversation between us.
Okay.
Usually start with you introducing yourself.
My name is Joanne. I'm the executive director for Ontario Southwest Regional Tourism Organization.
I realized about 10 years ago that my passion is not just travel. It's not just, food and culture and art and music and nature and all these things. It's the fact that I got to learn on every step of the way. And then 5 years ago, we actually launched Learn Tourism as a 501c3 nonprofit. We work with 60, 70 destinations now and helping to build their training programs, whether that be for their tourism ambassadors or their business partners or their staff, travel advisors and agents. Along the way, I kind of realized I need some new mentors in the destination space. So we started the podcast as a way to get to learn stories from destination CEOs and to learn from them and their experience and to learn what they love most about their destinations, what their career paths were like, what motivates them, what challenges them. And here we are. I think we're on season 5 or 6, and it's something like 250, 300 interviews in that we've learned from some of the most amazing people in the business. Many have become friends or advisors. It really is. It's a lot of the messaging out there is about destination. And we realize that without people, there is no destination. So we want to understand the people behind it. So that's the story on the podcast and how it got started. It's got 18,000 listeners now.
Okay.
I'm doing most of the talking now.
Oh, I love it.
I worked in tourism and destination development for the first 25 years of my career. About 10 years ago, when I was realizing that I love to learn, there was an aha moment that most of the training and education in the tourism industry saw. That was another aha moment and led to about 5 years of doing beta testing in the background of my consulting work with destinations on adult learning, education, technologies, methodologies, theory, alongside our other co-founder, Sheena, who's got her master's in education, instructional design, technology. So when COVID struck, my destination work evaporated overnight, and I had the choice to make. Do I want to start this consulting work up from scratch again, or do I want to try something new? And the education and learning stuff really stood out to me as something that would not only be more interesting to me, but also more impactful to the people around me in the industry that I've come to love.
Love that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. And on a personal note, I sold my house and everything in it 4 years ago. I live out of a fancy bus. It has a dishwasher, a fireplace, a washer and dryer. We get to visit friends in the industry that I've made. We're preparing now to leave Florida to go up to Virginia for the Learn Tourism Conference. And then we're going to cross country all the way out to Portland for the Destinations International Conference. And along the way, we'll spend time on Native American reservations. We'll spend time in big cities. We'll spend time in the woods or in the mountains or on the lakes, all this kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous. Were you in Chicago last year for the DI conference?
I sure was. Although I didn't have a bus, I had a van.
So you've upgraded.
So I have definitely upgraded. What's interesting, though, is that the van, I could pretty much park the van anywhere, provided that there was clearance overhead. Yeah, you can't do that with a bus, I've learned.
I imagine that. I guess you've got the AC unit probably on top of the trailer or the van.
Yeah, so the van was kind of high. The van was like almost 10 feet tall, so you couldn't park
like
in
a
the parking
Sprinter van or big?
Oh, it was a fully decked out, like professionally built out RV van. It had 2 beds, a kitchen, a bathroom.
Amazing.
Yeah.
This is
so it's kind of fun. I bought the bus last July.
Yeah.
So it literally immediately after DI, I'm like, all right, I'm done with this van thing. Time to put on my big boy pants and get a bus.
Obviously.
I drove to Kansas and picked up the bus and drove it back down to Florida to get some upgrades done. And then this month, I bought a Jeep to tow behind the bus.
Okay.
So
places as well.
So one of the best things I like about working in this business is that I know the destination professionals in most places. I
Oh,
host a
that's
conference
fun.
in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's your story?
So cool. So, yeah, I worked for Ontario Southwest Regional Tourism Organization, executive director there. Before that, I was in tourism product development. So I was tourism development manager. And oh my goodness, I absolutely loved it. I love current job. I love what I was doing before. What I was doing before was really working with operators and understanding how they can tap into the tourism sector in this new market segment, travelers, right? Which we know spend more than locals. And so Ontario's West has a couple medium-sized, good-sized urban centers, London, Sarnia, Windsor. And then other than that, it's a lot of remote rural communities. And so these businesses, a lot of the tourism businesses or agribusinesses or smaller retail, whatever it may be, food and beverage, they were creating things that were so unique and therefore finding themselves in the sector. That was really fun. We did a lot of work with experience development and helping support people that were curious about sharing something that they were really good at, whether it be like a craft or a skill or maybe a tradition. If they had access to a special place they wanted to share, like a farm, something like that. And then also if they just weren't crazy passionate about something, they just wanted everybody to know about it. So then I'd work with a lot of these operators to support them in terms of growing that thing and turning it into experience, which then became a tourism experience because it was so differentiated. It was something so unique that they could offer. And so it was really fun to see when people saw themselves in that space and what they truly valued and had already was something that other people really wanted to get access to. So that's kind of the foundation of the way that I think about tourism, the impact that tourism can have on people, on communities, on destinations. So it's pretty fun. And we get to work with a lot of really incredible people through that. I'm also an entrepreneur on the side. I've got a little horse farm that I run. So I've got this boarding facility. So I get to test all these little things on the side. And then that helps support when I'm working with operators or working in tourism and that destination management side of things to have that perspective as well, which is really fun. I'm from Southwestern Ontario. It's a beautiful part of the province. Part of the reason being is we've got a longer growing season and we've got amazing agriculture and farmers, incredible food scene, culinary scene, beverage scene, two winery regions, great breweries, of course. And then you've got this connection when you've got farmers and chefs that are friends and they're growing these incredible things and it's fresh and it's creative. Anyways, that's kind of a little bit about me, about the region, high level.
It's actually pretty good. It's a pretty good description.
Using,
I'm curious about the horse farm. How long have you had a horse farm?
gosh, it's coming on 9 years.
Wow. What's your favorite thing about it?
There's so much that's so hard to answer. I think my favorite thing about it is just having this space and this thing to do that is so tactile. Like when you're in front of a desk and you're on calls or you're in meetings and you're doing these things every morning, every night, with exceptions, of course. But I mean, I've already been there this morning. I'm on the ground. I'm putting hay out. I'm on the tractor. I'm with the horses. You have to be so aware of what's around you all of the time because you're with a herd of various animals and you always have to be paying attention. So I just love that because it doesn't matter what happens outside of that space. It just pulls you into the present because you have to be safe, but also because you're doing, I'm lugging these 40-pound bales of hay around. I have to move. I have to be out there. It really makes me get up, get going, and keeps me accountable because I know if I'm not out there, then the horses aren't going to get fed. There's always so many things to do. It never gets boring.
It's funny when people ask me about my life as a traveler, as a nomad, and they say, what are the best lessons you've learned? One of them I tell people is to be present, to find time to get lost in the space that you're in and to just get your hands into that moment. I've visited and gone crawfish harvesting. I've stayed on lots of farms. I've visited alpaca ranches. I've encountered bison on the open range from 6 inches or less away. It was a terrifying moment that ended up being very funny because the rancher had been feeding the bison snacks when she went out into the open range. So this one snuck up from behind us expecting snacks and she shooed it away. Like, shoo, shoo.
That's incredible.
It was a humbling experience, to nearly wet my pants as a grown man. Yeah,
These moments,
no, go ahead.
I love these moments though, because isn't that what travel does? When you see something for the first time, we get used to the day to day, the monotonous, and we get used to seeing the same things. We start not to see them anymore, and we coast. But when you travel and you see something for the first time, your senses are so engaged, like your sight, your smell, you're feeling the wind, like all of these things. You get to taste something new. That's what I think is so spectacular, and why, when I travel, it's like you want to be amongst these things that you've never seen to pull you back into the present. Like it slingshots you back into the present right away.
And I think that leaving time to get lost when you're traveling is important, because if you schedule every minute, you're essentially not giving yourself time or space to have those moments. If you're worried about getting every picture of every attraction or every beautiful sight, you're not giving yourself time to put your phone away and sit there with the sound of the bamboo in the wind. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I had a long list. I think I wanted to be everything. I don't know, everything and nothing at the same time. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. That's a tough question. I don't know. I think I wanted to be everything for like 20 minutes, and then I changed my mind and then I wanted to be something else.
So how did you end up working in tourism development? Before we dive back in, a quick word from our sponsor, Learn Tourism, the nonprofit academy, where we're dedicated to transforming the tourism industry with 4 key services: our cutting-edge learning experience platform, which offers robust analytics and seamless updates; our custom course development, which ensures tailored learning solutions; subject matter experts who provide deep insights and valuable knowledge; and of course, our engaging speakers who are here to inspire and educate with impactful presentations. Discover how we can elevate your tourism education at learntourism.org.
I think my longest standing thing that I wanted to be was a photographer. I think I just appreciated the art of capturing, some cool things. And I loved my photography class in high school, my photography teacher. And so I started applying to schools for photography. Well, the one school I really wanted to go to, I didn't get into. But in Ontario, Canada, in the high school system, at least when I was in high school, they had these like career nights. And so you had a slot of 3 sessions that you could go to in schools. And so my first session and my last session were for these 2 photography courses at these great schools. And then the one in the middle I had open. And so I thought, okay, well, I love Thunder Bay. It's Northern Ontario. It's a beautiful part of the country. It's one of my favorite places ever. And I've got some family that I just adore up there.
Nobody adores all of their family.
I genuinely have an amazing family.
Yeah, but there's got to be one that you adore.
I hit the jackpot. I say that and I'm serious. I hit the jackpot. But anyways, so my one uncle, he was saying to me like, come live in Thunder Bay. And so I ended up filling my middle slot. This is a long story, but I ended up filling that middle slot for all the school visits with Lakehead University. And my mom and I were in the room and they're like, what do you want to do? Fill out the program name. I didn't realize this was part of their marketing, but they have you fill out like what program you're interested in. It was outdoor recreation, parks and tourism. And I was like, that sounds like fun. I love being outside. I love playing outside. I love doing all the things. So I put that down there. And of course, Thunder Bay, Northern Ontario, it's stunning. Canadian Shield, Boreal Forest, absolutely loved it. So like, yeah, they were so good at marketing. And I did it so that I could show my Uncle Terry and be like, hey, look what I did. Look where I am. And they kept sending me marketing materials for that program. And then I didn't get into that one photography school I really wanted to be in. And I thought, well, I guess this isn't for me. My hopes and dreams were crushed. I'm going to Thunder Bay. I'm taking outdoor recreation, parks and tourism. So I took a specialization in tourism, loved it, found myself working for a couple not-for-profits, event, conservation authority, got some really cool experience. I was actually talking to somebody yesterday. We were talking about liability of all things and just like risk. And through that job and other jobs leading up to it, I was able to just to figure these weird things out. Like I kept getting these scenarios where it was like, well, this is your job, figure it out. And I was brand new at a school. Anyways, one of them was that we were talking about yesterday. I was coordinating a new water festival. And it was like, I didn't even know what that was. Figured it out. And then I went and I worked I was a tourism officer for Haldimand County. And my boss said, we've got this undertow at this beach called Port Maitland. Figure out how we get safety signage up. I didn't know anything about water undertows. So I had to go find like the right companies to work with, and even to understand what to Google to get on that path was tricky. I was really fortunate that I had all these opportunities to figure these things out. Eventually, job after job, I landed in that tourism development role, where again, this was, I mean, what year was that? That was, I think, 2013. And I think that was still very much like at the beginning of what is tourism if it's not just marketing. Marketing's important. It's always going to be important. People need to know what's out there. But destination management and product development from a tourism capacity was, those conversations were starting, but I feel really lucky that I was in that role and I got to figure it out what it meant in this part of the province. And so I really loved that piece about tourism development, destination management, and then that's kind of how I got here.
What does stewardship mean to you? Because you mentioned starting your career in the tourism industry at the time when the DMO shifted from being strictly heads and beds to more about community and benefit to the community as a whole. So what does stewardship mean to you?
I was so lucky to work with a mentor. His name's Celeste Devar. One of the things that he said often was, you're ordinary, somebody else is extraordinary. When you were talking about crawfishing, I mean, that's something that probably many people do on a daily basis and don't think anything of it. Yet, this is something that we don't have any access to. So to be able to learn something like that and do something like that and get hands-on and do it, that's so incredible and special. And then the other thing that he taught me and has stuck with me is that tourism should benefit local communities. It's not at the expense of local communities. So when I think about stewardship and what does that mean, it's how do we use tourism as a force for good and not just for metrics or for volume purposes, but more value purposes. And having the community having a say of like, what do we want the impact of tourism to be? Because we're not just creating these things for the traveler's benefit. Why would we do it if it's not to benefit the local community and the people that live there, and not at the expense of the environment, but rather what can we do to actually help preserve, protect, and support the environment at the same time? Because those are things that are being used to draw people in. The environment's a core component. We see a lot of travelers that want to go and do things in nature. And so why would we not preserve, protect, but support regeneration of that and nature, communities, people?
Like it. What's the kindest thing a stranger has ever done for you?
There's so much. I think that, I don't know. I think the kindest thing, it's simple, but it's the thing that comes to mind is just being friendly and opening and welcoming. I mean, we're all on these different paths and you never know how somebody's day is going, right? And so I think those simple interactions, I think that would probably be one of the biggest things. And it happens often, which is why I keep coming back to it. Like, you know, grand gestures are great, but I think it's those things that we can do on a daily basis that just make us all, remind us all we're part of a community and we need each other, right? I think sometimes we forget that and we're isolated and we're in front of our screens, and many of us are working from home these days. And so just having those interactions. I got a Christmas present this year from one of my very good horse friends. It introduced a concept that I absolutely loved, and it was called kindlets. And so she gave a bunch of her friends 3 $5 bills and introduced this idea of kindlets. And so it was, you know, do something kind. Don't overthink it. Just do it. And if we all continue to do those kind of things, like imagine how we could change the trajectory of somebody's day. And so with that $5 bill, it's like pay for somebody's coffee behind you in the drive-through. If you see somebody that's in need, you've got to hand a $5 bill that's handy, share it, or do something for yourself. It's like, don't forget, sometimes you need to treat yourself too. And so I just love that concept of it. And I thought that's such a simple act for her to do, but then also her sharing that information, that concept with us, and then giving us a little starter pack to do kindlets for others. I thought, wow, now she's really spread this out and it's going to catch. I thought it was such a cool idea.
It costs nothing to be kind.
Right?
It's a great gift. What's the impression you'd like visitors to have of Southwest Ontario when they leave?
That they're welcome here, that they're part of the community, that they've learned something new, that they take something back with them that will help change something on the daily for them. So whether that be the way that they prepare food, the way that their kids see the food that they eat and how it's grown, whether it's how they source materials when they're shopping. We've got a couple amazing experience hosts. One, her name is Alex, and she runs with her family Thames River Melons, and she loves nutrition. She went to school for nutrition. She's got this family farm, fruits, vegetables, local partnerships with other farmers. And so she loves to teach people where their food comes from, the nutrients in their fresh food. So she's got this experience where they come to the farm, they pick the food with her, they prepare the food with her, and then they share a brunch together. And so when people leave from that, we think about like, what do they do, learn, and remember when they're with these people that are hosting travelers across the region? So what do they do? They're picking food, they're cooking food. What do they learn? They learn about the nutrients, they learn how to prepare it. What do they remember? Well, they remember that nutrition matters for them, for their family. This is about wellness, right? And then we've got another experience host. His name's Dave, and he is from Otter Creek Woodworks, and he is an artisan. He builds charcuterie boards, furniture, wood, all these things. And so he takes people into the forest, teaches them about the soil, about the nutrients, about the ecosystem as a whole, and just how it all needs each other. And so what do? You build a charcuterie board with them. What do you learn? You learn how to use tools and all these, beautiful things. His wife's an artist too, so she helps you trace the shape and everything. And then what do you remember? I think, like, for me, it was about how do you source sustainably, or how do you buy sustainably sourced products? And like, it matters, right? Especially wood.
Yeah.
I think there's so many examples of like, what do I want people to remember, or how do I want them to be transformed? And I think it's all these little things that people can integrate into their daily lives, but also that they're welcome here and that they've had a good time, and that the people in this region truly are the people that make this region such an incredible place, an interesting place for travelers to come and see.
I have traveled through your region and spent some good amount of time in the region. Yeah, I stayed in Turkey Point for a while.
I love Turkey Point. What a fun spot. What a great beach.
Great beach, great people. That's something that I found too about your area, is that there is a connection to place, people, and product that really stands out and makes people feel welcome.
Yeah. Did you try the perch tacos?
Yeah. Of course I did.
Excellent.
And the butter tarts.
Oh my goodness. The butter tarts. Yes.
All of the things. Is there anything you'd like to ask me?
Oh my goodness. Yes. What do you wish more destination managers knew? Just having you talk to so many people about this. Like, I'm just doing my own detective work now, right?
I think you mentioned a few great examples of what I hope more destination professionals would. Flashbacks to college, you have your macroeconomics and your microeconomics, right? Destination professionals, those who are good at what they do, have a great understanding of the impact and benefit they have to the community. But to tie that to a specific individual and the impact that it has on them, their livelihood, their family, their well-being, their sense of place and belonging, and their contributions back to the community. I wish more folks had that person they could point to. Lots of destination professionals can say, look, we support the mom and pop businesses in town. We support the restaurateur who's trying to put their kids through school. Well, can you name that restaurateur? That bridges the gap between selling product and selling stories. I am far more likely to buy from Susan, who wakes up every morning to tend to her farm, than I am from a stand at the farmer's market. It's the same thing, but one allows me to be part of that story.
Yes.
So that's what I hope. Nobody's asked me that question before. That's a really good question.
Yeah, I'm just being selfish in terms of like, you've got all this knowledge. You've had so many conversations with so many people.
No problem. What else would you like to ask?
If we use this, you'll edit that, right?
Yeah, I would actually, yes. Maybe not, because that gives us a real human touch.
That's fair. So you teach a lot. You've got a lot of content. You've got a lot of learning available. I find that when we run training programs ourselves, for a long time we would offer these programs, but we would get the people that already knew the information in those courses because they know it's important. How do you go about sharing the value proposition of something when you're trying to engage people in a new topic that they might not have already bought into yet?
So when we started this organization, there were two phrases that we trademarked. One is T, you're sipping tea, transformations, engagement, and accessibility. Great education has to have all three of those things. Not you have to know something, but you have to be able to do something. So what are you going to be able to do? People have to be active participants in their learning experience. And accessibility in how people learn, teaching to different learning styles, but also when, where they're learning and they're motivated to learn. Because not making it available where they are, when they are available on their schedule, makes it harder for them to be a part of the learning experience. And that leads into the second term that we phrased, which is education with empathy. Understanding what is important to that person or that audience, and then presenting it to them on their terms. It's important to have a tourism ambassador. What's important is that you have people in your community who are telling your story and who are inviting participants and visitors to be part of that story so that they leave better reviews, they stay longer, they spend more. And they give back to the community and help the community do what it does best. It is empathy. And when people understand why it's good for them and why it's good for the community, and I have found in my travels, people are generally good. You sometimes have to remind them how to demonstrate that goodness and kindness. And when you do, they want to be a part of it.
What's the most interesting way that you've seen that demonstrated?
So I spent 3 winters in Mexico. And on my trip down one year, I stopped at a roadside little restaurant that's built in like the front of somebody's house. And I had some tacos. This gentleman was standing next to me at the counter and he struck up a conversation with me. One thing led to another. He ended up giving me his number and he says, if you have any problems while you're here in Mexico, you just give me a call. 2 weeks later, I found this tiny little oasis town that had once been on the main highway, but has been bypassed by the new highway. So had family farm that had all of the little casitas and it had the area for RV parking, but there was nobody there because it had been completely bypassed by the main highway. And the owners of it, this elderly couple, Lalo and Lilia, became friends, instant friends. Okay, fine. So I'm leaving town and I'm following my GPS and it took me on a road that I had no business being on, which was the old highway. And the old highway crossed riverbeds that were dried riverbeds. It crossed, without pavement, without concrete. It was just, and I hit a big rock. So I was an hour and a half from any town. No cell phone signal. The only person I'd seen in the hour and a half was a shepherd walking through the desert with his sheep. You can't make that up. It was just one of those, like, this is so random. Like, what the hell? But I hit this big rock and it pulled the generator and plumbing equipment out from underneath me. So here I was stuck. I put out my Starlink. I sent a WhatsApp message to Lalo and Lilia, like, hey, I'm here. Do you know a mechanic? I have this guy's number. Like, let me just text him. Let me see what's up. Turns out the man worked for the federal government. And I had representatives from the federal government on site in an hour and 45 minutes. I had English-speaking mechanics on site around the same amount of time. And they got me patched up and out of there. So that it was not because they were expecting it. It was not because they planned for it. It was not because, it was because they were simply being kind.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite examples. It was one of those roads, by the time I realized I should either turn around or keep going, I had nowhere to turn around. I was on the side of a cliff I'm like, I couldn't turn around.
There is no other option. I feel like I've driven a few of those roads in Costa Rica. They're fun.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and share your story with me. I appreciate it. I'd like to have my ender take a stab at turning this into an episode, send it to you and let you see what you think of it.
Yeah, if you can pull some good stuff, by all means, use it. If you want to do a total re-record, let me know. If you want to just get some sound bites here and there, I'm fine with that too. Do your magic. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And if there's anything that me and my organization can help you and yours with, let me know.
I appreciate it. Where's the rest of your team? Are they all remote?
So yeah, everybody's remote. We have a mailbox in Sarasota, Florida.
Love it.
But everybody's remote. So we have staff members in Africa, in Asia.
Amazing.
I have folks in North Carolina right now. I have folks in New Jersey right now. I'm in Florida today. I won't be in.
You can tell it's sunny there and it's darkening raining here.
Oh, it's...
Can see a sunbeam on you and I'm very jealous.
It's going to be about 24, 25 Celsius today.
Thank you for translating that for me.
I know. I've spent an entire summer crossing Canada from Michigan all the way out to the Atlantic provinces.
Amazing. So that's probably what took you to Turkey Point.
Yeah. And there's a really great gay campground there.
Is it private?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's not a provincial park or conservation?
No,
do you remember the name of it?
It's called The Point.
The Point. I've never heard of it.
It's members only. Like you have to get a membership to go in because there's probably some folks walking around with no pants, but whatever.
It's what it is.
It's a funny feature of me joining Zoom calls because if my curtains are drawn, my team is like, oh, we know where you are. I'm like, yeah, but I got pants on.
We assume.
I don't know. No, we know. Like, I am not the best Porky Pig. So there's this really great campground there. It's fun because it has like a big clubhouse.
Yeah.
So the clubhouse turns into a nightclub on the weekend. And then they have their own food truck. They have a big pool and people are just super duper friendly and super kind. I'm in touch with people that I met there years ago. I look forward to coming.
Well, when you do come back, let me know.
Absolutely. Coffee's on me. Have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you so much for the convo. Let me know how this goes or if you need anything else.
Enjoy. Take care.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Business Class. This episode was brought to you by Learn Tourism, the nonprofit academy where we advance the tourism industry with cutting-edge training and sustainable practices. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to visit learntourism.org to learn more about our programs and how you can get involved. Until next time, stay curious, continue learning and making a difference through tourism.